Who's the captain? I'm the captain. And I've got the Field75 from Nuphy. It says captain on the bridge right here. It's pretty cool. I got my waifu back. I'm pretty excited. I wanted to do a number of Nuphy keyboards, but there just hasn't been anything super neat about the ones that have come out. But this guy not only looks super cool, but it's got the Ghostbar on it. One thing that I have been very interested in, but haven't had the opportunity to try myself. We got a actually pretty sick quick guide. This thing's really cool. I've never seen a quick guide so nicely packed. We got our gorgeous keyboard that we're gonna also take a look in a sec. Anything else in here? We got a Q&A pamphlet. What's in the box? Accessory kit. I like how well, oh, it's actually labeled here. 4 extra keycaps, 4 extra switches, 1 keycap switch puller, and 1 1.5 meter cable. I do wanna say the box is pretty cool. It shows the keyboard on top here, and then what's actually even better is the little shell that it comes in, because you've got my Nuphy waifu. I love this girl, she's great. And I love how it says captain on the bridge. Like, I don't know why. Like, why captain of all things? Other than that, it's pretty nondescript. It's just Nuphy and Akira 40K. It's got all the specs on the side. That's actually really nice. I'm a big fan of this. It's got like 75% layout, ultra low, oh, it says latency connection. I think that's a typo. I think that's supposed to be latency or lag. I'm not sure, maybe latency is a new word. Before I check out the keyboard, they also sent a few other things that you can buy along with the keyboard if you order it through their website. We've got their Nuphy Studio shine through keycaps for Nuphy keyboards. They're for any keyboard really, but you know, for Nuphy specifically. Compatibility, Field75. That's actually really cool. A lot of the time, you'll buy a keyboard and you'll just buy a random keycap set online and it won't fit properly. It'll be really close, but you might have some issues, like there's a little bit of a gap on some keys or whatever. And I do like how it tells you like, no, this one will work exactly with your keyboard. So that's great. The other thing I'm really excited for is this 2-tone wrist rest. It lists these as aluminum, acrylic, and rubber for the feet. I mostly see the acrylic. I'm guessing this part's the aluminum, but honestly, it's a pretty nice little wrist rest. I'll use it with the keyboard in a sec to give a much better impression on how I, feel about using it. But so far it looks cool. I want to check out this field guide though, this quick guide. I don't know how much of this footage we're gonna use, but this is probably the nicest little quick start guide I've ever received. Oh my God, the whole thing. Oh my God, it's a poster! Let's go! Oh, this is mine. You know I'm keeping this. What? Focus on the fun in function. Akira 40K, 2023. Only fun products are worth creating. That's awesome. This is great. On the back, in all seriousness, it's got a whole bunch of quick start information and all that. Really cool. Really, really well done too. I love how big everything is. It's super easy to read. The layout is very clear. It's just a white cable, 1.5 meters long. Yeah, that's about right. It comes in a variety of colors, and I don't know if you get a different color cable depending on which keyboard you buy. So that might be an issue depending on, how they ship it. I'm not sure because we only got the one. Let's take a look. It comes with a handle, pretty sick. I don't know if I would ever use the handle for literally anything aside from maybe like defending your place from an attacker or something. Throw it at someone. Wow, that actually held on. I was actually really worried it was gonna just come off and the whole keyboard would fly all over the concrete there. What's really cool, especially here, let me get the wrist rest. Okay, so one minor issue. I really wish that they had magnets on the front and back of the wrist rest and the keyboard. While it's probably not gonna go anywhere, I'm a big fan of how a lot of the other keyboard companies will just like magnet attach to each other. It feels good. Acrylic doesn't get too hot or too cool, and it's comfortable to sit here and type on it, so yeah. And then if you don't like the angle, you just don't use the wrist rest. These do cost extra. It's another $34 if you want a wrist rest, but they also come in a variety of colors, so you can mix and match it with whatever keyboard you buy. I really like this white aesthetic they got here with these like blue, purple kind of keycaps. It's a hot swappable keyboard. There are a bunch of foam layers in here. And the one thing I'm really curious about is apparently this is the Ghostbar that I've really been trying to get my hands on. I just haven't personally bought a keyboard with one yet. Aside from all of your normal keys that you'd find in a similar layout, you've got up to 8 little macro keys, G1 through G8, and they're all along the side here, the first 4 and then the second 4. I don't know how to feel about these. I mean, they don't interrupt anything. They're not in the way in any way. So honestly, why not? Ooh, This roller knob also feels really good and sounds really good. I was worried it'd be plastic, but it feels heavy enough to be aluminum. And they've got another one. This is a knob too, what? This tiny little gear here is like totally a selector knob or something probably. I don't know what each one is set to. Right now, that's a button. This does have a button as well. Aside from that, we've also got a little toggle switch here for whether you want to have it in USB wired mode, 2.4G or Bluetooth. In Bluetooth, it's only going to do 125 hertz polling rate, so I'd kind of avoid that if you can. Wired, it's 1000 hertz, and 2.4G, it's also 1000 hertz, which is pretty standard. There are faster keyboards, but the reality is that like 1000 hertz polling rate is totally fine for the majority of people, unless you're like esports level of gamer, it's totally okay. Honestly, while the G switches aren't switches, they seem to just be buttons. I don't know if there's like a tiny little switch in there somewhere. It's a very satisfying click. I don't know if you heard him, but Sven said it sounds like a bumper on an Xbox 360 controller, and I absolutely agree. And it feels just like that too, like that tight little click that they've got. And you know, I kind of like them. As for the typing experience, it's pretty good, just out of the box. This thing comes with a number of switches, which is great if you like options. Polaris, Fleeting Gold, Cherry Speed Silver, and Cherry Ergo Clear. You get a lot of options, so pick wisely, but since it's hot swap, if you don't like them, that's okay. Let's take a look at the Ghostbar. I really wanna see this, and then at that point, we'll see what switches are actually in the board. Ooh. Wow, it looks like we've got Polaris in ours. These are nice, I like them. So now I'm especially excited about this Ghostbar though. So here's the difference, right? Normally, you would just have the center post and then the side posts on your spacebar. So what this is doing differently is it's got these two middle posts right here. And they've got this insert that's made of polycarb, and it just goes on top like this. And I guess that's supposed to help with sound. I'm not 100% sure. We'll find out more in the typing test. Below that though, they've also got these two little pieces of silicone. I actually really like this. That is definitely deadened at the very least. You can go a couple steps further probably, and you can foam the inside of your spacebar, but I don't think you need it. This thing is like really nice. Now I do want it. Honestly, I wanted this thing as soon as I saw it. There's something about this crazy chunky layout that I'm just a big fan of. And they've got a hub, so you can do a USB hub on the top. Otherwise, it just connects through USB-C at the top. You can turn it on, turn it off. My only problem with this thing so far is that if you don't get it with this keycap set, I don't know if you can ever change out the G switches. So if you've got like, I don't know, all black keycaps or something, this might still look good, but there's that blue, purple, and white color scheme on here, and it might not match with everything. So this isn't the kind of keyboard that I think you're gonna wanna change the keycaps on too much, but that's okay. Before we plug it in, I wanna take a look at the bottom here. We've got adjustable feet, always a plus, and not something that you tend to find in more premium mechanical keyboards. We've also got a little plate here. It says Nuphy and Akira 40K. Now we're gonna plug it in, type on it, but not before a word from our sponsor.
Thanks to Miro for sponsoring today's video. Miro is a collaborative online visual whiteboard that helps teams stay organized and on the same page. As we've grown to surpass 100 employees at LMG, keeping track of who to report to or ask specific questions can become tricky. With Miro, we can clearly organize our entire workflow into one easy to understand space for everyone to refer to. Start organizing your workspace today. Check out Miro at the link below.
Remember when I said there were other colors? We got the green and black one as well. We also got the wrist rest, and we got this super cool desk pad that they're also selling. The white one did not work. We don't know why. I promise you that you can just send it back for warranty if that ever happens, and they'll reimburse you or RMA the product and send you back a new one. It doesn't happen frequently, but with electronics, sometimes you just get a dud. You know, I don't know what else to tell you. But the good news is the black one works. Here's my only problem. I really don't like the tactile switches that are in the green one. I don't know which ones they are. I haven't opened it up. We literally just reset everything and started shooting again. I really preferred those linears that were in the white keyboard, but it'll still make for a perfectly fine typing experience, so let's try it out. 112, 98%, you know, it's not great. I started making some mistakes. I kind of got in my head and slowed down, but I do really like it. I definitely prefer the other switches, that's for sure. I do love the RGB. And one other thing to note is that now I can tell you for sure you do get a different colored cable depending on which keyboard you buy. I can't guarantee they do anything other than black and white, but you know, the black definitely matches this guy a lot better. I want to find out what all of the different knobs do. The roller knob by default is just a volume adjustment. I've never had audio on while doing the test tones. This seems to be the brightness for the RGB, I'll crank it all the way down, and then I'll crank it all the way up. Yep, not sure if it does anything else, but that's what it's doing right now. Oh, F5 on the G5. Love the little test tones, that's great. I've never had audio on while using keyboard. Wow, incredible. Oh, one thing I'm noticing now for the first time though, is that they've kind of separated their F-row a little interestingly here. There's a clear break in between escape and F1, and then there's a clear break in between F4 and F5, which makes a lot of sense. Alt F4 and F5 are two very common keys to press, whether you're trying to close a program or refresh something. But then there's no break after F8. They've got a different color configuration on the keycaps so that you can quickly tell visually, but you're not gonna have that same like feel tell where you're like, oh, there's a break, okay, there's F9 or there's F8. So it's a pretty minor thing, but it's something that you might wanna take into consideration. As for the rest of the layout, it's pretty bog standard. You know, you've got like a print screen up here. This is probably delete. Yep, delete. Home and page up, page down, those all work fine. Arrow keys, navigation cluster. Does caps lock light up in any way? No, that would be nice. I do like visual indications for caps lock, even if it's just a little RGB light. It might be there, but it doesn't shine through on these keycaps super well, so it's hard to tell. I'm not sure what these indicator lights are up here. Do these change when I change modes? Yeah, okay. So red must mean that it's on USB wired mode, and then green probably just indicates that it's on. It's really hard to see. I actually don't know if you'll get to pick this up on camera, but you can barely see the lights. So it is ever so slightly transparent on the bottom here. It's a little more noticeable in person, but only if I'm looking at it like directly. Then I can kind of see the shine. I would like if this was more transparent. Like if you're already going this far, why not go a little further? But that's a pretty minor thing, and you know, to each their own. Maybe it's not like you look at the back of a keyboard that often anyway, so it's totally okay. It's supposed to be 1,276 grams. That's probably just for the boards. We'll see how much it is with keycaps and switches and everything. Yeah, 1,300 grams for our entire keyboard here. Actually right on the dot, which I mean, don't get me wrong, scale could be off by a few grams, but that's pretty cool. It's pretty chunky. When we did the last Nuphy keyboard, it was the Air 75, and that thing was like razor thin, it was really light, it was, you know, meant for portability. This is definitely, while it's wireless, don't keep that in. While this one's wireless and it has a 4,200 milliamp hour battery in it, it's not really also meant for portability like the Air 75 is. Like, it's got some heft. It is a plastic shell. That's kind of my only complaint so far. If this came with an aluminum case, even if it cost me an extra $100, I'd be a lot more sold on it. You wouldn't be able to do the transparent back as easily, but you know, you could do like a top case aluminum and then do the bottom in plastic, and that would probably be okay. But how much does it cost? Because you know, a Corsair or a Logitech is gonna cost you like $150 to $250 or something like that. This guy runs anywhere from $159 to $169, which isn't too bad at all. That depends on the switches you choose. So you know, you're probably paying a little bit more. What's the more expensive switch?
It's the Cherry Speed and Cherry Rare.
Really? The Cherry switches are the more expensive ones? I don't know why, but the Cherry switches are the more expensive ones. You pay an extra $10 for Cherry if you want them. I just like the other ones more. I think they look better. I think they feel better. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what material the switch plate is made out of. They just say metal on the website. And considering how heavy this is, it wouldn't surprise me if it's steel instead of aluminum. It's a little less premium in that regard, but the reality is it looks pretty cool. It's hot swappable still, so if you don't like the switches you buy, you can swap them out. The keycaps aren't bad, definitely not the best I've ever touched, but they're double shot PBT. And you know, honestly, I really like this thing, especially because it's got the USB hub. That's not a super common feature that you see on more premium mechanical keyboards. I think that if you're looking for something that's a little different, something that looks cool, something that has a bunch of macro keys on it still because you just can't get rid of your old Logitech keyboard, then this is probably the one for you. I mean, it's got a battery if you want to go wireless. It can do Windows or Mac, no problem. It just looks sick. Like, I can't get over how cool this thing is. I will be frank. Everyone, as soon as we broke to try the new keyboard because the other one wasn't working, everyone came over and tried the knob. Everyone loves this knob. I think the only thing I'm not crazy about is the handle. They could have probably just ditched the handle. I think it's just plastic too. Like, it's not even anything crazy good. So would I buy this thing? Would I buy the Nuphy Field75? You know, just for the keyboard, maybe not. But I'm telling you, when you're getting the poster it's a lot more appealing. Otherwise, if you want to check out other short circuits, maybe look at the first time I looked at a Nuphy keyboard, the Nuphy Air 75. It was pretty cool.